it's right during the middle, you know. I've been here since 6:30, and she waits until 1 minute before I'm supposed to come in here that she needs something, but I guess that's fine. Okay, fire away. I'm ready.
Any big takeaways from the film study of West Virginia?
We blocked very well. You guys are so used to me coming in here and saying we need to block better and cover guys up and do that, and we blocked very well. We played physical. Obviously, Ollie played physical, ran well, covered guys up in crucial times, right? At a point where in the last 6 minutes or so of the game where you would think that they knew we were running the ball and we still were able to run the ball is what we used to do years ago. So that makes me feel better. And our guys played reckless with their bodies and were physical, and it worked out well for us. Defensively, we had, I think it was 4. Well, first off, we only missed 3 tackles, which was excellent. We had 4 mental errors in our alignments in our interior that cost us some yards, 2 of them on the quarterback run, which he's a good player. He's going to run. He's going to make some plays at times. It is what it is. But for the most part, we played a really good first half, except for a few errors. And the reason I say it is those are things we can clean up. And then in the second half, we got into a little bit too much of a prevent, let them get down the field too far, which happens. They shouldn't, but defense have a tendency to do that. So we were poor in special teams, which bothered me. A couple things that we can clean up and make ourselves better so we can perform well in special teams.
Hey, Mike, there's a lot to like about Ollie, obviously. Fast, great vision, strong, all those sorts of things. But for you, as you've watched him gather steam this year, what have you been most impressed by?
Well, his durability's been impressive. In the last few games, he's become a little bit elusive, which I don't think any of us thought that was a part of his package. We thought he was more of the Keith Toston, pound, bounce off guys, move forward. His vision in this last game to make cuts prior to when it needed to happen was really good. So I think he's starting to develop. We made a good move 5 weeks ago by changing what we were doing offensively, particularly in a running game, how we were doing it, and it fits his style, so we guessed right. And he's developed into a good college runner based on the style and the structures we put him in.
So that elusiveness, do you feel like that's a him skill or a film study skill that he sees and he's able to elude, or what is it that
I think it's repetitions with the same concept we're running over and over and over, and he's now starting to feel it and get a vision of what's going on down the field, different than what we had done in the past with him. And I think it's just he's seen it so much that he can almost get a feel for what direction to go, more so than anything.
Coach, 3 things. One, do you notice much at halftime, the chatter, the guys that are talking, and then even on the sidelines in the second half, there were guys that I thought, and some of them young guys, talking about, hey, don't give this thing up, we work too hard. I mean, and some words I can't repeat. But It looks like your leadership is
They've had a taste of success, and so once you taste success, guys like it. Today's meeting with the team's a lot more enjoyable than it was early in the year. So once you start to taste it a little bit, you feel good, you like it, and success breeds success. Enthusiasm is contagious. All those things are true, specifically in our sport.
Jenny talked about Ollie. You talked about the blocking scheme. Josiah Johnson didn't get targeted much, but he had some huge blocks.
Yeah, so Josiah and Cassidy have changed considerably in the last 4 weeks. And see, in order to be a good player at this level, really high school, this level in the pros, you have to be reckless and disregard your body. I mean, that's just the way it is. You can't play this game if you're worried about your body. Can't play this game if you're worried about getting hurt. You have to just disregard your physicals. You just have to just go play. That's what they've done, both of them. I have a cut-up tape to show the team today of about 10 or 12 plays of guys that played in the game who were just completely reckless with their body. 4 and 1 on defense are disregarding anything about their body and the way they're playing. They're just flying around and diving and laying out, and 16 and 90 fall in that category.
Last thing, attrition some in the back end of the defense. you had some young guys that had to go in. I mean, like when Ty went in the first play, they targeted him and got him coming up on the play action. How do you infuse that experience?
Yeah, I mean, you just teach them and coach them and correct them, and there's no substitute for the experience side of it. We talked about this. You have 7, 8, 3, and 11 that are inexperienced players that are out there at a majority of the game. They got to learn how to play, and they got to get used to it. And unfortunately, they will make mistakes. You can correct them. You just hope they're not too costly at the wrong time. As you move forward, the good news is about this time next year, you'll have a lot of seasoned guys at that position.
But have you seen improvement so far from those young guys in the secondary?
Yeah, Nardo has to protect him some at times, and makes it difficult for a play caller on either side of the ball when you're in. You have to think in the back of your mind in a protection mode. So he protects them some, but they're going to get better each week. But there's no substitute for experience. One of the concerns I had going in the game or a couple days ago was taking those 3, 4 guys in the secondary and playing on the road. It's just different for those guys. So, but that's the only way they're going to learn.
Was there a light bulb moment with the offensive line where you said, hey, they're starting to get this now, things are going to get better from here on out? Was there like a moment?
Well, 5 weeks ago, we disregarded a lot of what we're doing, and we said we're going to do these 3 or 4 things, and we're going to do this with the backs, and we're not changing anything, and figure it out, and we're going to get better at it and just go with it. So I don't necessarily know if it was a light bulb for them, but we played our cards right. It worked for us, and we said this is what we're doing, and now they bought into it. They feel good about it. The challenge now, and this will be a somewhat laughable matter in here, the challenge now is to keep them humble from everybody telling them how good they're run blocking. Right? I mean, I'm sure you guys, I don't think you guys are really good at what you do, but I don't read anything. I don't know what's out there. But I'm sure people out there talking, social media and all the different things that go on, everybody's fired up about them now. When a month ago they wanted to shit can them all, I'm guessing. So now the challenge is to be humble and understand that Cincinnati could care less. I mean, this is the best defensive line we played all year. This week, I was shocked when I started watching Cincinnati's tape, just based on, like we all do, I looked at the record and then I looked at the tape and I'm like, doesn't match up. So the challenge for them now is that Cincinnati, I'm guessing, could care less what we've done up to this point with Ollie and the offensive line, and now we're in here talking about how good they played and how physical they are and what we're averaging rushing the ball when they've got to go back to work and do it again this week.
Mike, the improvement we've seen with the offensive line and the run game sort of reminds me of the way the run game emerged with Jalen a couple of years ago. Did you guys do some similar things as far as maybe eliminating some stuff and focusing on a few things to build around Jalen? Are there some similarities there?
We probably cut out, I mean, I'm not good at percentages, but 30 or 40% of what we did and zeroed in on a couple things and tried to build it. I mean, at that point, we felt like we needed to hang our hat on Ollie with his durability and his size, and then 24 and 3 can learn to play and rotate in with him. We were doing some things then that fit maybe kind of all of it, and now we've gone the other direction. When we started to rush the ball better with Jalen, at that time it was Jalen that changed things considerably, just like he did yesterday again with the Steelers. He makes it a lot easier to coach. And then it started with him, and we migrated in that direction. This started with concepts and schemes, and then we migrated in that direction.
You talked about Jason Brooks Jr. went out, Sean got hurt. Do you have an update on their status during this?
Well, I'm hoping that they'll be back later in the week. I mean, it's really hard for me to tell who's going to do, but I'm going to be able to come back. I'm hoping that all of them will. Brooks is the one guy that looks further off, in my opinion, but he hasn't been back over here today and take the boot off and do all the examination.
Talked about Ollie's durability. 2 questions with that. Number one, is that something that you can know before you just go out and give a guy 20-some carries? Or
he's worked his way to that, right? He had a game where he had 12, and then one he had 15 or 19, and then he was 23, and then now 29. So it's funny, I got a text from Cale when I was getting on the plane to fly home Saturday night, and he said you need to clear 2 rows of people out of the back and let that horse lay down and put hay in one side, let him sleep and just keep feeding him. He said that's the only comment I got for you. And I said, well, have another drink. I'll catch you when I get home. But, he used to coach that position. He said, you need to keep feeding that horse and let him have a row to himself. So that's kind of what's happened with him, is it's just we continue to feed him. But, I mean, knock on wood, he gets stronger as the game goes on. And maybe it's because he's physicality and other, everybody else gets a little tired and fatigued. But if he can keep doing that, that'll certainly help us this year.
And then you kind of led into my next one was, at what point do you have to start saying, hey, how do we manage this? Can he keep doing this week after week?
We just have to feel our way through it. I don't want to pull him back yet. I want to let him roll. But one thing that's happened that we haven't had to do much, Three's come in and made some good runs. He's fresh. He's come in. He's done a good job. And I think that he has more capability now than he did a month ago also. We just haven't had to get him out there and let him do it. So, in the middle of August, I told you guys we're a better running team than we were. We just hadn't got there yet. And then 5 weeks ago, I told you, believe it or not, we're getting better. We just haven't got there yet. Well, I think Three can help us. He just hadn't get in and put him in there yet. And so we just got to go with it until we cross that bridge.
You said you were watching Cincinnati tape. Corleone, the inside technique. I mean, he pops out.
What number? 0, 4, 97?
No.
Yeah, this is the best defensive line we faced. Yeah, they're good. Their front seven's good.
Okay, on your offensive line, you've had those guys around for a while. Does anybody from a personality standpoint pop out at you amongst those guys? Because they're all somewhat kind of quiet. Preston talks the most, but
they are. Dalton's got a little bit of a personality, but he's new, so I'm sure he'd be different if he was here a couple years. Queso, has a lot of personality. Mikulski doesn't say much. Springfield doesn't talk. Birmingham has got some personality to him. Preston Wilson's more of a, machine gun Kelly guy, that kind of guy. He's going to do what he's told, and they've all kind of got their own personality.
Mike, there was a really sweet moment on the field after the game where Ollie was giving his interview. Several of your players came up and mugged for the camera and pat him on the shoulder and tell him, "Oh, this 4 touchdowns, 4 scores that." Is that what winning looks like, or is that what a team that's really together looks like?
It's interesting you brought that up. That was a different moment for me because I walked off and was feeling good about myself, and I'm like, now they're interviewing players like the NFL in college. They didn't even want the coach, that's the guy they should have got. But the players, this group has been good. Their core. Ollie is very entertaining, social butterfly. He's got a lot going on, very vocal. So the team is kind of grasping and they like that about him. So that's a good sign when you have a player who's getting the recognition he is and they're all still happy and they're not jealous. So I did not see that other than glancing over and saw him over there at the TV cameras, but that's a good sign for our team.
How much do you worry about togetherness when things are a little leaner? Like when you were 2-2 after South Alabama and Iowa State, how much of that was on your mind?
That's all that's on my mind. Because my job is to keep them together, keep the staff together, and keep everybody from feeling sorry about themselves, right, and let the thing go the other direction. So my job gets increased big time in those situations. Not X's and O's, more so with the team and the attitude and the morale and everybody. And we're in a society that chooses to find things that are negative than positive. We had a lot negative. So that's a real challenge for me. That's when my job gets ramped up in a big way.
How do you do it?
I don't know, just kind of luck, I guess. I've been doing it a long time. I'm lucky I've done it a long time. It's not an easy thing to do because you're dealing with so many different personalities, and there's so many resources outside of here that are talking to the players. People back home, agents, runners, friends, different things, and they're feeding them information. I've got 140 of them, so I can't individually meet with all of them. So it's a real challenge to do that. And essentially, I have to tell the staff that you have to take care of your players. That's your job. It's what you get paid to do, not me. take care of your group. And so I start delegating it and then try to deal with the ones who I think can be an issue, and hopefully those coaches can handle their players, and it makes it easier in the big picture.
Last thing, as a
But you have to have leadership. I apologize for interrupting you. You have to have leadership, because when I'm not there in the locker room, they got to do it. Somebody's got to do it, not me. It's not my locker room. It's their locker room.
And the last thing I want to ask is, you've alluded to things that you had to figure out from when you started doing this 20 years ago.
Mhm.
Is that one of them?
Sure. Yeah, and you learn on the run. You're lucky if you, in this profession, if you're a head coach, if you get past 3 or 4 years, you get another contract, you're lucky because you finally learn. And then after about 10 or 12 years, you start to become a decent head coach. And then when you get to be about 20 like me, you can pretty much handle anything overall, because you've seen so much. You get better at it. So the guy like me at year 19 compared to year 4, it's not even close. I'm a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10 at year 4. So I just told Chad I'm a 10 on the scale right now. 1 to 10.
In your post-game speeches, you tell your guys they only have so much time to relish in that, and then it's move on. It's even less time for you, but that West Virginia locker room is pretty tight. But the players had the coonskin hat. They had you wearing it for a little bit afterwards. And then Chad had last week we were talking about Bill Hastings coming up with that 400 game stat. And I don't know how long they knew, but they had a game ball, pretty nice game ball presented to you. How much do you relish? I mean, that seemed like a special locker room.
Y'all brought the 400 up in here. Until y'all brought it up last week, I had no clue. I just don't have time for that. It's all I can do to get from one thing to the other. Because of the portal, because of the NIL, because of things that Garen just mentioned, my workload has been increased considerably over the last 2 or 3 years. I don't have time for that. I love it. That time, it was very nice of Chad to do that in the ball, and that means a lot. Gives me a chance to get him in front of the team and tell the team he's the boss, do what he says. They need to learn that for life. So there's a lot of things that are going on. I mean, I get home, whatever time we got home, midnight, and come in, and all the dogs come, and they're all excited and happy and all that. The house is dark. There's no food. The old lady's asleep. Nobody cares. I mean, it was kind of sad. Then the dogs are the only one that care that even came in the door. But the point being is there's just not much time because of college football. I've said this, I'll say it again. We're the NFL now, week to week. Good luck on picking out who's going to win and who's not going to win, and you better be ready. And that's why.
Is that why, though, that 5 to 10 minutes there, everybody was together in that?
That's right. That's true.
That was good.
That's true. Yeah, and they brought the hat, and I think they have an awesome mascot. I mean, I didn't mind put it on out of respect to them, not disrespect to them. He's a cool dude. I don't know him, but the mascot's a cool dude. But the point being is that time is special, and that's why the question I answered earlier, they got a taste of winning, so now that's why they want to do more, because those moments are special for those guys, for all the work they put in. It's not like basketball and baseball. We don't play a 35 games or 60-game season. They don't get many times to do that.
Mike, do you catch more flack for calling Kristen an old lady, or for calling your players by their number and not their name?
Well, I didn't know I caught any flack. I said Cassidy and earlier, Josiah, but then I got to go back to numbers because, yeah. That's right. They're freshmen. Now I told you guys in August, it's a real challenge now for me to learn who everybody is, because they change numbers and we have so many new players. And I think I know everybody now, but sometimes guys go by, I don't know. But she doesn't know anything I say here. She doesn't care. She's not on social media. So she doesn't pay attention. How many years you been married?
43.
Okay, so I've been married 32, I think, or 3. And so she don't care anymore. So she's out. She's like, yeah, whatever. But no, I didn't know I took any heat over the numbers. It's easier for me to communicate that way. It's like Cincinnati. I mean, I know 19, I know 49, I know 3, I know 0, I know 4, I know 97, and I know 8. I don't know who they are. I just know that's who plays against us. So.
Speaking of 8, is 8 the quarterback, I think?
He's a defensive player, but I don't know what the quarterback's number is.
Whoever the quarterback is. You played him before, Emory Jones.
Oh, yeah, right.
You played him out here. How unique is that?
That is
different.
different.
Quarterback You played last year only on a different team.
I know, it's weird. But that's the future, right? We're going to see a lot of that as we move forward. They've been really productive.
From ASU a year ago, or do you just worry about the UC stuff?
Say it again.
Do you scout? Do you go back and watch your game? You don't worry about that.
No, we just watch. It's a different concept in what they're doing, and they're obviously the coach is new and the schemes are new, but quarterback bouncing around, that's not new.
This is your first of the newbies. Does it seem different?
Who?
This is your first of the newbies to play.
Oh,
I mean,
no, I mean, it's like I said, I think this is the best front seven we've played all year. They got a chance to make some plays. So.
Mike, can you go back to when Ollie, I'm sorry to keep asking about him, but when he first came on y'all's radar as a recruit, who was it that first saw him when he first came on your radar as a guy you guys might offer?
Early, about midway of his junior year, I think they started bringing me stuff and showing me about, he plays different positions, and I think I've shared this with you. He plays quarterback some. They snapped it to him, took off and run. Smart, kind of a sleeper, not really being recruited because he's not drawing attention based on what he does all the time. And that's when we first kind of found him.
Why maybe wasn't he? Because I think that junior year, I don't know the numbers in front of me, but I looked it up earlier this year. Really good.
Yeah, they moved him around. They moved him around, and I think people had questions about his speed.
Mike, big picture here. Not asking you to apply it to your situation, OSU or anything this year, but in a league where not everybody plays everybody, what's the best way you think to break a tie?
I don't have any idea. I wouldn't even begin to start with that. And, that's going to be a little bit of an issue. I mean, we didn't have that, but I don't know where they're going to go with that. And the reason why is because, if you look at where things are right now in conference play, at teams that have played teams, how do you match up? Okay, well, we beat this team by 10, and the other team only beat them by 1, and then we beat this team by 1, and they beat them by 14. So how do you match it up? I don't have any idea. Now, the head-to-head ones will be easy, right? I'm guessing if you get to the end, and if they go this way, and the two teams in the head-to-head, they can go on who won, right? I would think that'd be easy.
Yeah, but right now, if it's like a three-way tie and not everybody's played everyone, you go to the next highest team in the standings that everyone's played. That's kind of the tiebreaker.
Yeah, that's way over. I mean, high school math's about as much as I could get. That's way over my head. We're just going to try to do the best we can. I don't have any idea how to handle that.
Mike, you had mentioned Ollie's personality. It's obviously, big and infectious. So is there any kind of stories or moments that sort of give us an inside look at that from coaching him, being around him?
Different stories with him? Well, there's a bunch with him. And I shared some of these a week or two ago. I think the best ones with him at this point is he made a 360 with his attitude this year when we got started throughout the summer with his work ethic, and then in August. Early in the season when he wasn't getting as many carries and we weren't very successful rushing the ball, he didn't go the other direction. He didn't pout. He didn't come in. He didn't complain. He just came to us and said, look, if y'all will give me the ball, we'll do a lot better running the ball. And he didn't even mean that disrespectful to 24-3. Okay, Jaden and Elijah. He just said, if you'll give me the ball, I'll kind of put it on my back. That's a good story about him. And then, obviously, we did, and it's been good for us. Like this team we're playing is only giving up 3.2 per rush. So.
Mike, you had talked about the offensive line in terms of the run game, but Allen's been sacked once, I think pressured 5 times in the past 3 weeks. How have they improved in pass pro?
It's because we can run the ball. So when I told you guys we can't throw it because we can't run it, we're not a balanced football team. We can become one-dimensional. So their play caller, it's easier for him to dial up plays. When you can rush the football and create some balance, it gives you an opportunity. And I mean, you can talk to a lot of coaches, and they'll probably say the same thing I'm saying. It's extremely difficult to do one or the other unless you're just better than the other team. So once we started rushing the ball more effectively, that allowed us to have some balance, so we don't get as many guys in pass rush mode, and it's a little bit easier to block. Defensive line are more athletic than the offensive linemen. And when they know what you're doing and they're more athletic, it can create an issue, and that's what's happened to us prior to 5 weeks ago.
Mike, you said something interesting after the KU game that stuck with me about how the crowd is better than whenever you've been here since
It is.
the
The
80s.
crowd.
Was that volume or loyalty, or how they show up?
I mean, the crowds consistently this year have been better than in my however many years I've been here. It's a long time. And so you have your Bedlam games here, and then, like, I can just throw some out. We had night games here when we played Baylor, when both of us were in the top 10. Bryles was there. One year I think they were 3rd. One year they were 7th. The Bedlam games, and there may be the Georgia game. So there'll be some of those games, but the consistency this year with the crowd, the volume level, then you come out at halftime and they're still in the stadium. We had the blackout where I think it made the crowd feel like they were a part of the team because they were dressed like them. So our marketing administration has done some things that have helped that we need to continue on with to integrate the crowd to where they feel like they're a part of the team. I think that matters, but they've been really, really good this year.
Anything else for
Yeah, Mike, I'm not saying you're the 88 Cowboys with hardly any Sanders.
Right.
But you've been playing really good offense the last 3 weeks. Against pretty good teams, you've been scoring a bunch. Does that just feel more natural? Because that's the way it used to be we used to sit around here and talk about stopping people.
49 to 47 were at the end of the games. Yeah.
Now we've spent some time talking about, what can you do to score? You are scoring. So does that just feel more natural when the OSU offense is clicking?
Well, it does, but I'm going to be honest with you. Standing here today, I didn't think we'd be talking about this 5 weeks ago. I knew we were better and I knew we could improve, but some of the things we've done offensively over a 4-week period have surprised me in total numbers and total points based on where we came from. I think that's fair to say, right? I could have thrown that out a month ago and everybody would have bought it. But it's funny you mentioned that because when I was on the plane, I was reading the stat packet, and I saw it was 48 to 34, and it kind of hit me the same thing you said. That used to be normal, and the other team used to be 47 when we were 48. And I hadn't seen that lately, and you're not seeing as much of it in college football, with the exception of your bigger, your top 5 schools. When you get to the middle of the pack, so-called, 6 or 8 through 40, those numbers have been down considerably. So, but it felt a little more like normal. I would agree with that, from what it's been.
Why do you think it took 3 weeks to, go on Ollie, get, hone in on a quarterback? Why do you think those 3 weeks, it took y'all to kind of hone in on what y'all wanted to do offensively?
Well, we didn't know really what we had with Ollie and what style of runner. And early in the year, we were playing some musical chairs in the offensive line, so we weren't performing very well. So we weren't getting much running game. So really, how did we know? We didn't, because we had 2 bad things going on at the same time. Then we just said, forget it. This is what we're doing. These are the schemes we're using. We're putting the back here, and this is what we're doing. We might be right or wrong, but this is what we're doing. So I'm repeating myself now. We got lucky. We played our cards, and it was right.
Good.
Hey, Mike, on that plane ride home,
Yes, sir.
did you give yourself 1 second to think, hey, November 4th in the stadium could be pretty wild? With the way you're playing and with them still being undefeated? November
Bedlam.
4th.
Bedlam.
Oh, okay.
He's asking that.
I mean, I hadn't thought of that. I didn't even know. We play. Who do we play next?
OU after this.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, and then
Oh, so Bedlam's next week.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know that. I thought we went to Central Florida next week.
No,
No, it's a
that's
week after.
You really didn't know that?
Honestly, I did not know that. But I'll tell you, now that you're tying together, because I'm getting text messages on Bedlam tickets, and I thought that's early. Why am I getting them now? But I didn't realize it was next week. Okay, now it's 2 and 2. So I hope that, and I think it will be Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Don't we play at 7 this Saturday?
This Saturday.
Against
Cincinnati, yeah.
It'll be rolling out here then.
You think it should be? You think Bedlam's gonna be in that game? What you're saying?
No, I was talking about Cincinnati. I don't have any idea about Bedlam.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. I didn't even know that. You brought it up.